course, you can use your shortcut as well. Click OK. Now I'm just going to add a gradient to that, and that's using the gradient tool. So with the gradient tool, just click on here and drag, and you'll notice I've got this lovely gradient. You think, well, hey, why is this missing over here? Well, I've added some transparency to this. So just go back and click up here with the gradient, and this is just your standard rainbow gradient, but I've just added some opacity stops at the end, 0% and a 0%. I've just moved this one, the 100%, just slightly to the right and left, and then you can create a bit of transparency. And I want that, and I want it on a layer. So just click here. Now, when I was doing this before, I just created them all. I thought, what's going wrong? I was actually adding it to the background layer first, and then of course it still had white here. Didn't have any transparency. You have to add it to a new layer. If you just add it to this background, it's not going to work. So now I've got this transparent, and if I just select it, you can see that's the boundary for the layer. Another thing that slightly baffles in Photoshop, and this video I want just a few things that really, I go to layer and duplicate layer. You go there and you can of course duplicate the layer. You can also hold down the Alt or Option key and drag and duplicate it. But it would be lovely if there was features such as 10. I want 10 copies. I don't just want one. I want 10. But there's no feature for that. All you got is just duplicates. And this feature has been here since probably Photoshop version 1. Never think, why don't they update some of these features? However, quick workaround, which I just found out actually, I wish I was just playing around with it. Just go to the Layers panel over here, hold down the Alt or Option key and just drag here. Now it does come up with this, which is always slightly baffling, but I don't want that. What I want to just drag, and you can drag again. And you can see as you drag, now it does create layer copy 3, layer copy 4, which personally I wish it didn't update that. Maybe there's a feature, please let me know. Is there a feature to stop it renaming the layers with copy? I don't particularly care. I don't need that. I will go and rename them if I want. So I've got these multiple layers. Now in Affinity Photo, you can do it really easily by using the Move tool, where you can just duplicate it using a panel that pops up. I would love to see that feature in Photoshop. It's not there, unfortunately. I'm not certain why. It would be such a creative feature. And I love anything that adds additional creative features. Features that don't include AI would be classic case. Okay, so you've got this. I'm going to select top layer. There. Now layer 1. Now I'm just going to go to Filter. And this one is probably one of the only ones. There's a few I suspect. Please let me know if you can think of some more. But for me, Wave. That's it. Wave is one of those filters that's got at least a bit of variation. I'm just going to put that down to 1. I think when you push it up to too much, it makes a bit of a mess. Depends, of course, you might want to achieve that. You might want to create it all over the place. But put it to 1, it's a more sort of controlled effect. You can then modify the wavelength and the range. And you can see this is the thing, amplitude there, a min and max. And it randomizes. Now it doesn't change these. But you can see when you click randomize, now unfortunately, it doesn't have a lock feature. I would love it to have a lock feature. So you could just lock it to be randomized. So when you repeat it again, it just randomizes it automatically. But it doesn't do that. So click OK. And now you've got that. And you can see that's on top. Straight away, you've got an interesting effect. You've got that pillar behind. And you've got this lovely wave design. It's not particularly very random. It's obviously just consistent all the way across. But then you can go to this one. Now what you can also do with this, and I've put them on top of each other, you don't have to have them on top of each other of course, but you can just select this one, filter, and then just go down again to distort and wave. Now wave is one of those filters that I use a lot of. I really should have a shortcut to that. Can easily set up a shortcut, but I haven't. So wave, and then you've got that. And you can of course tweak some of these, but you can just simply click randomize again, and you can see as you do this, you maybe want to push it out a bit more, maybe change this. You can tweak it in all kinds of ways. But again, randomize, you can see now you get something like that, and maybe more, something like that. And you can see then you've got another design behind that, And then you can go to the next one and you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going down to filters and again, distort and wave. Times I go down to this one. No, distort and wave. Quite easy to go past that one. Which is another feature I would love to see in Photoshop. I would love to be able to rearrange the order of the filters. Distort is one I use a lot. It's the one that's slightly further down. If it was just at the top all the time, it'd be brilliant. Now you can add, obviously, 5 previous used, but the previous used, unfortunately, do not store the randomization. They will just use exactly the same effect again and again and again. So you can see wavelength and you can tweak it. Again, random, just click it and you'll get different results and so on. You can see you can build this up. And I'm just going to do that for all these now. Actually, if you want more randomization, probably a good idea to set the generator to be maybe more than 1. When it's just 1, it unfortunately just randomizes a lovely sort of curve effect. But if you want sort of make it jump all over the place, go with 2 or 3, and I'm just going to do that now. So if you set it to 3, let's just put it 3, you can see now instead of just this lovely smooth curves you're getting, you can then stretch it to a slightly more distorted curve. And I'm going to go with that. So randomizing, you can see then you'll get different results. Now, of course, the ones that behind, you just don't see as much. But there is a workaround, of course, to that in a few seconds. Of course, the great thing about randomization is you don't know what you're going to get. The result may be terrible. It may be excellent. Well, I've got this result now. But what you can do now is just go up here and you can select them all. Select all of them. And this is one feature that I do like in Photoshop that I think should be for many other features as well in Photoshop. But this one, you can go up here with them all selected, all these layers selected, and then just go here and you can go through darken, multiply, color burn, linear burn, and so on. You can see sometimes they get some really interesting effects. I think some result in a horrible or just blank. But you can see as you go through it, here's difference. Difference is a great one. Exclude, not so much. Subtract, luminosity. That creates an interesting one. Get something like that. Now, let's just remove this background. I just want to move that. Yes. Then you get that. It's a bit weird, isn't it? Having the white background changes the thing. So let's just go through all those again. I always forget to delete the background. Background often does influence the end result. So, okay, we'll just go through colour. I think that looks lovely. Colour creates a very sort of shimmery, weird. I love that. Okay, so I've got that selected and I can now flatten them all if I want to. Of course, I can just leave it. You can always then just save them. Go to File and then Save As, and save as a Photoshop document, of course, a PSD document. And then you can use this later, maybe combine them. And with these layers, you can also go and apply other effects as well. And another option, you can always go here, and I've still got the same blend mode, so I haven't changed that. I can just move them, so you can shift them around. So you don't have to keep them all in that central position. Obviously, they all start in that central position, but now I can then move them around. Now, sometimes, and quite easy done, is when you're doing this, you'll select it goes back to the top layer. Very frustrating feature. Even though you select this layer, I want to use this one. It doesn't allow you to use it. It just jumps back to this other one because you select it again accidentally. Now, you should be able to auto select. Let's just see if that does that. I just wondered, just as a quick test. So I've got that, then I select this one. Yeah, that's what I want. So if you want to move the layers, it's a good idea to turn that off, even though it's sometimes very useful, but it's annoying when you actually want to select the layer that you've selected here. And you can then select that one and move that one. It's worth remembering, isn't it? Otherwise, you're always fighting against the system. Now, another way around that I always find, and what I have to do as a quick effect, option is just make it not visible. And you can see then you can move that one and so on. But you will notice one or two of them, because they've gone over the edge, you get this cut off. It doesn't extend. That effect does not extend beyond. So if you get this, quite often what I do a bit of a cheat. I just go over here and I resize it, which is probably not perfect, but you know, it works with the design. And you can see now I can move that and I can fill that area there. And this is what I'm aiming for, sort of getting that one go over there. And of course, sometimes when you move one to another, you suddenly find you've got something else exposed like that. And then you've got that. And I've still got that one up there. Now, yeah, move that up. And again, just resize it a bit. And there it is. A very quick field design. Now, of course, what you can also do, again, for creative experimentation, which is always a thing I think that's important, certainly for me, is this. Just select them all again. And you notice I've got colour here. Well, I can now go through and just try the others again. Luminosity. You know, and you might find one you think, you know what, that looks great. Exclusion looks good. Now you can see there's probably a bit of an error here. You can again push it up, just go back to it later. Just try it out and just move them around. I don't know which layer that is. You have to isolate that layer and work it out, but you can see all kinds of visual. That one doesn't look so good. Dissolve is never a great one, I don't think. It's a sort of noise one that comes out, but I love that one, the colour. And again, I've got that there. Let's just move that there. Don't know which one it is. Anyway, let's just keep it like that to finish off. And there it is, a very quick, randomised, sort of weird and wonderful design using gradients and transparency, but also using probably one of the very few random features in Photoshop. I truly wish every single feature in Photoshop had randomisation. After Effects has it. If you go into After Effects, you can attach expressions with random to it. I'm not certain why Photoshop has never added any feature like that. Just a quick randomize to edit fields so you could edit them and randomize using different things, maybe a sine wave or cosines or different mathematical functions to create all kinds of weird and wonderful end results. But instead, Photoshop has always been quite, I think, quite staid, personally. However, hope you found this of interest. And also, hopefully, it does help maybe create some interesting designs just using gradients, which I think gradients are a great start point for many things. Bye.